I saw you was moving along to the beat. I saw that.
I know. I'm trying to catch whatever beat you got going on. I'm like, okay.
Listen, it's the beat in my head. Like if I
I know,
don't
I'm
have
trying to hear it. I'm trying to tune in so I can, be on the same page.
You were in tune. I felt it. I'm super excited about this conversation, the road less traveled, primarily because I have been on this road. I feel like it's the road to Damascus. If y'all didn't go to church or don't know that reference, just know it was a hard road. The road to Damascus was hard, and there were no trails. It was just hope. The road less traveled. This conversation today is specifically for those folks who have chosen the unconventional path, who have chosen to follow their own soul's urging. And many times when you do that, much like one of our other conversations, when you decide to go into the depth of something or go deep, you have to learn how to breathe when you are under that immense type of pressure, or when you have a vision in your head that nobody can see but you got to have some different stuff in you. And this conversation today with Caryn Ward Ross, who is an award-winning actress, producer, and the main character story expert, y'all. It's going to be a good time because we're going to talk through what her road less traveled experience was and how we can take some of the gems and some of the tools and some of the lessons that she has learned along the way so that we can do this thing too.
Yes, I'm so excited. Caryn was one of our dynamic, wonderful speakers at the Evolve experience that we had. She did a meditation where she facilitated a meditation with tea. She told her awe-inspiring story with the ladies that were there, and we got so much feedback from our audience members and from people who were there about just how wonderful and how dynamic and how life-changing her section was, because it was something that people didn't know they needed. And she was so vulnerable and so open to sharing in aid of service, in aid of the other woman, and in service to the women that were at the Evolve experience. So I'm just so excited to finally have her on our podcast. Yes. Please welcome Caryn Ward Ross.
Hey. How are you?
I am outstanding. I am doing really well. I'm so happy to be here with you, ladies.
Yes.
So are we. We always get super excited every single time it's time for us to interview or have a conversation, is what we really like to say, because that's what it really is. It's a conversation. Yeah. Outside of what you do, all the titles and the accolades, who is it that you say you are?
I love that question. I am the power of I am. Yeah. As we know, biblically speaking, spiritually, metaphorically, I am is without definition. So I think I am undefined. And I like that, because anytime we ascribe a label or a title, then that speaks to the trajectory. And I like to think of myself as beyond my physical form, beyond being a woman, a Black woman, a mother, a wife. And I like to think of myself as an infinite power source that has come through to deliver specific gifts, talents, and have certain experiences to transcend and heal myself and contribute to the healing of humanity. So that is who I am.
Oof, okay.
Listen, I wasn't ready.
that was real. Okay, that was so profound. Like, yes, like that is what you are. That's incredible, and that's definitely how you show up. So I love that you're able to put that into words. That's part of the reason why we wanted to have this particular conversation with you, because at the Evolve experience, you did share a lot about your background and the kind of path you were supposed to take versus the path that you decided to take. And a lot of times we don't realize that making that decision can impact and change so many lives. We make we're just like doing it for ourselves and we need to figure it out. And then you do figure it out, or you do make the decision. And now there's like this ripple effect of other people feeling empowered to make that decision. And a lot of time, and you mentioned your family and a bit about your family dynamics. And I know that learning to trust your inner voice can be difficult in certain family dynamics. And a lot of times the voices of our parents and our loved ones, they make up a lot of the stories we tell ourselves, right? Like they even will say, like there are studies that have shown that much of your inner voice is made up of the things your parents said to you. Yeah. And it sounds like it's you, but it's really not. It's them.
Yeah. You have no other reference.
Yeah.
It's given to you.
Just to jump right in, I wanted to ask, how did you learn to tap into your own voice and trust yourself enough to follow the road less traveled, to kind of carve your own path when maybe those who were closest to you were saying, nah, that's not it. Like you need to do something else.
I think sometimes we discover more of who we are by experiencing who we are not. And so that was my particular experience. I came into this world knowing exactly what I was meant to do. I think we all do. And I was keenly aware at a young age, visualizing, seeing myself acting and dancing on a television series, Fame, even though there was no evidence that it was possible. So a lot of times we don't see the physical evidence of what we're called to do, but there is a still small voice. And so I followed that. I found myself ultimately on TV and starring and having a great life and fulfilling my vision until it all just ended. I was in my dressing room doing a television series on CBS with Nell Carter, having the time of my life, living my dream. The executive producer walked in and said, the show's been canceled. Now, everyone may not have the experience of being in television or following this path, but I think we can all relate to the feeling of the rug being pulled out from you, of being canceled, where everything crumbles and your dream just feels like a nightmare. And so from that point, I started to doubt myself. I started to wonder if this was really true. And I felt had low self-esteem. I even told my young self at that time, if I was prettier, I would have made it. So then I got the courage when I went to Howard University. And I said, I'm going to start again. I'm going to go after this still voice that's been inside of me, and I'm going to go for it. So I finally built up the courage, which we often do. We say, okay, we're going to get back up. We're going to try this big dream again, right? And I get a call from a family member, my uncle, and he says to me, this acting and dancing stuff is great, but you need a real job. Your father's a doctor, your mother's a lawyer. So here I had this proscription from my family of origin, and all of us do, that says, this is the path that you're supposed to walk. And so I freaked out, I panicked. I went down to my counselor's office and I said, I need to change my major. And as I signed the paper to switch my major over, I felt a part of my soul. I was kind of signing my life away, but I ignored it. So to answer your question again, sometimes you figure out who you are by seeing who you are not. So I ignored that voice and I followed another script, the script that was given to me. And I'm coming up upon graduation and I'm sitting in my statistics class at Howard and I had a thought. And I said, do I want to be a statistic? Do I want to have a dream, not fulfill it? Do I want to have a destiny and not follow it? Yeah. And I couldn't. And so this feeling erupted in me and I had to go back to what I knew. So I had a choice. I remember it was a Friday. I could either fly to New York City and start a real job, or I could fly to Los Angeles, go back into my childhood home, sitting on my twin bed and pursue my passion of being an actress. I chose now. Fly back home on my twin bed, and I'm going to go for my dream because it was now or never, and I chose now. So I think that to answer your question specifically, you have to allow yourself the space and the grace to experience all the things that you are not, because what it does is it fine tunes and brings you into real focus of what you are supposed to do. So, yeah.
I love that. I like that, especially because that last piece that you said, the allow yourself the space and the grace to experience what you are not, so that you'll also be willing to go after what you are.
Yes. Yeah.
It's that being okay. Kind of like with I know. We interrupted at the best part, but hear me out.
Dating should not be this hard. Let's be honest. We've all said it at least once that the dating pool has pee in it.
It has to. After dozens of dates, too many failed relationships, engagements, marriages, and even a divorce, we decided it was crucial that we find ways to be better at attracting the partners that we desire. So we did just that, and we created the Dating Well AF course.
It's specifically designed to show women how to date with intention and in alignment with their desired type of lifestyle and experience. The 5-module crash course developed by certified coaches Alicia and Danny provides practical tools to date well and live even better.
So I want you to register now for lifetime access to the Dating Well AF course at datingwellaf.com. You will tap all the way in to learn how to identify those self-sabotaging behaviors, discover new ways to date intentionally, and to nurture that healthy love.
Remember, one of the most important life decisions you will ever make is who you decide to make your partner. Make the choice well and visit datingwellaf.com.
Now, back to the episode. Because so many people, I don't want to fail, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to mess up. But if you're not willing to fail or to mess up, how will you know what it looks like and what it feels like when it's right?
Yeah.
I think that's too why so many people allow their decisions to be made by other folks, because it's much easier to allow, like, if I trust you, okay, cool. Yeah, you can just make the decision for me.
Yeah.
But then what happens is we can take that back seat then to our own lives, because we're constantly allowing other people to make that decision and that choice for us. So many people run from failure. Well, what if I mess up? What if I fail? And it's like, okay, what if you do, will you die? I mean, what is the worst that could possibly happen? I always tell people, think about what's the worst thing that could possibly happen. Okay, you have to move back home. Be grateful you have a home to move back to. Okay, you lose your money. Does it mean that you can never make any more money again? Or like, is it over for you because you lost all the money and that's just it? No more money can ever come to you again. As long as you are still living, you really do have another chance and another opportunity to create something different, to try again, to learn more. And also, I do understand how it's so much easier for folks to just allow those that we trust to just, guide or make our decisions, because then it takes the weight of that responsibility off of us. But then what it does is it kind of puts us in a supporting role in our own lives. And so with us taking a back seat to our own experience, we kind of can't get mad at the outcome, because we're not putting in what we know the necessary energy and work has to be in order to be a main character. Main characters have to do things differently. It's just a thing. There are more lines. There's more responsibility. You have to do more work. So can you provide like some ways, like some actionable ways that we can become the main character in our own story, even though it's easier to just trust somebody else to do it?
It is. And I often say that a lot of us are sitting in the audience of our own life. We're spectators. We're not taking center stage. And taking center stage in your life is really about taking personal accountability, saying that if it's going to be, it is up to me. And knowing that there is a life force energy that is articulated through you that can only come through you or my child in the background. I want to focus upon is this concept of self-permission, is giving yourself permission. In my language, in my business, is about green light. Green light is when you get a go to move forward with the project. So you are essentially finding ways to green light your own life. That means taking some small action step, whether that's signing up for a class, whether that's making a phone call, whether that's driving a different way home so that you can start to reconfigure your mind space, and your walk path is aligned with your talk path so that you are moving yourself in the direction of your dreams. And how you do that on a practical, tactile level is to say, okay, what can I source within me? What's the feeling that I desire to have? So if I desire to have a feeling of confidence, or I desire to have a feeling of business ownership, or I desire to have a feeling of partnership and love, you generate that within yourself. That's what main character energy is. It's not looking for the world to tell you, but you make a declaration of this is who I am. This is who I'm standing for. This is what I'm standing with. You accept it or you don't. So I think that is probably the number one aspect of main character energy. And then the other part is I spent a lot of years not being chosen. I was auditioning after auditioning. And for those of us who aren't in the business, auditioning can be when you're looking for outside external validation or approval. When you're not chosen, it's up to you to choose you. Constantly choosing you, setting yourself up to win, whether that's getting enough sleep, whether that's, this week I'm going to incorporate 3 more times vegetables and eliminate meat, possibly. I don't know. No judgment here, but just some examples of ways that you can set yourself up to win, exercise, and surround yourself with the energy and the dynamic of what you're looking to create in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is juicy.
Yeah, because
I love language, so I love it.
No, it's so interesting because we are so conditioned, I think, especially as women, to kind of feel like we need that validation, we need permission. Yes. That word makes me so angry sometimes, but we need permission to be who we need to be and to show up and to show out and to shine our light bright. And we oftentimes have to dim our light to make other people feel comfortable, to make other people feel like, we're not a threat, we're not crazy, we're not bitchy. There's just so much that comes with trying to kind of take the road less traveled and to carve your own path. When we were talking and coming up with the questions for this conversation, I was thinking about, I went way back to like the 7th grade, and there's this poem by Robert Frost called The Road Not Taken. And for some reason of all, like sometimes in school, like most of it don't stick.
Yes.
It don't stick. But that poem has stuck with me my entire life. And I remember, maybe because my teacher made us memorize it, but I just remember there were times where I think about that poem when I reach an impasse, much like the impasse that you reached when you decided to go back to your childhood home. And oftentimes when we're pursuing our dreams, we arrive at an impasse that kind of forces us to shit or get off the pot. Like, like you said, it's now or never. You chose now. And that place, and I think you even said this at the event, that place can feel really dark and really daunting and really scary. And it moves us into a place of extreme discomfort where you start to get to a space where you start to doubt yourself. You start to feel like, damn, well, maybe everybody was right. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And it can be gut-wrenching because this is your life. This is not a game. You get one shot, right, at this life thing, and you are the accumulation of all the decisions that you've made. That's literally what your life is. So I wanted to know how you feel like you have navigated the mental and emotional roller coaster that comes with betting on yourself and staying the course. Because if you can figure that part out, the rest of it is a little bit easier, right? A lot of it easier. If you can get your mind and your emotions under control, the path is going to be a little easier to walk. And I feel like you've done so much of the work that you do with so much grace. And I'm sure you have all these other things going on, being a wife, being a mother. How do you navigate that?
Ooh, beautifully said. Love that. I think I've always understood that life happens twice. I think Robin Sharma says that it happens first in the mind and then in physical reality. I also grew up, and it's challenging, especially as an adult, this was challenged with the belief that life is for you. And that can feel like bullshit when, quite frankly, when things are falling apart, when there isn't money, when the health is challenged, when you can't get your career off the ground. So I want to acknowledge that. But in those still quiet moments of darkness, it's coming back constantly, consistently, that life is for me, that all things work together for my good. And even though I cannot see it and I don't understand it, I'm going to stand in that. And the more that you can fortify that, that's called your get back up muscle. because we all get knocked down. There's also something else that I want to talk about that I think is important in the context of main character energy. You know, main character energy feels very self-centered. It feels very centered on the self, which is a good thing. But I think that you touched upon this in the beginning, is that our pain is not just for us. Like when we master and come through it, we become a distribution site of healing and transformation for other people.
Yes.
So our life is really an ensemble piece. You may be the main character, but your gifts and your talents aren't just for you. And so when you can start to think of the benefit for the other people, we get so focused on my manifestation, my dream. But when you start to look at and center on, well, how is that going to contribute to humanity? How is that going to make someone else's life better? Then it allows you to sit in this place of darkness and imagine and visualize that which is not visible yet, so that you can take the very next best step. Our beloved ancestor, Dr. Martin Luther King, reminded us that we don't have to see the entire stairway to take the first step. And so oftentimes in those moments of darkness, of confusion, of uncertainty, we just take the very next best step. And that starts first here in the mind, in the heart, and then taking a specific action that's consistent with that. So I think that is what I've always had to do in this very turbulent, tricky, unstable business that I've been in, that's challenged my self-esteem, that's challenged my worthiness, is coming back to the life is good. I have a purpose for being here. My purpose is not just about me. And even though I cannot see it, I will get through this.
That piece there, I mean, there were so many pieces. Two of the most important ones is that last piece, my life is not just about me and I will get through this. And also, if you can go to that place in your mind, kind of like telling yourself the end at whatever point you are. So if you're in the middle of your mess, if you can take in your mind and focus solely on what the manifestation of what it is that you're working on, the mind doesn't know whether it's a lie or whether it's the truth. We've seen that even with certain movies where you've had actors who were not able to come out of their character because the mind doesn't know that this isn't real.
Yeah.
And to add to that, one thing that I do, and I employ this in my life now, when I'm going through something, I will mentally and verbally rehearse my success story. I will talk about it as if I came through it. Oh, I remember the time when I, was looking at the bank account and I talk about it now like I will once I do emerge out of this. And I think that's a very powerful tool to access what you just mentioned. The mind doesn't know the difference. And then guess what? You start living into that reality. You start making choices and decisions that support that story that you've created. So I think that's very powerful what you said.
Yeah, I did a talk, I want to say about a year ago. And the title of the talk was Using Delusion to Create the Life You Imagine.
Love it.
And most people will tell you you shouldn't be delusional. And it's like, nah, you might want to be delusional.
A little Kanye, just like I always say, because I find Kanye West to be really fascinating in a lot of ways. And he always, when you watch like his story or his documentary, he is so delusional. Like, it's like, that is the word, like, but in the best way. Like when nobody believed, when nobody would listen, when everyone said that he couldn't, he was just so sure.
Absolutely. Love that. Yeah. Like he ascribed himself as genius. Why do we need someone else to tell us that? Yes.
I was so moved, and I'm so moved and inspired by that, because it is so easy to always feel like you need that external validation for someone to tell you that's right. Like, I need you to confirm who I am. And it's like, he was just like, oh, you don't see it? Oh, just wait.
That's holding the vision of who you are. It's insight, not eyesight. Because we look at it again. I talked about you don't get external.
Hold on, wait. You're not gonna just breeze right by that. You see with insight, not eyesight.
Eyesight, yes.
It's time for the people in the back.
You see with insight, not eyesight. And when you are pursuing your dreams, you have to be radical in your pursuit of who you are when there's no evidence from the outside world or any agreement. It's an internal agreement.
Yeah.
So
And you know, there's so much of this stuff, and I'm turning to you, Alicia, because Alicia likes to quote the Bible.
Yes.
She really does, but she don't go to church and she don't believe in religion.
She
but
is church.
She is like an old grandma. I'm like, look, Alicia, like every episode, but today I'm gonna be grandma, because with what we're talking about, it keeps coming up for me. But it's like a lot of these things we have been taught, you know, in religious settings, but I just think we haven't been taught how to really utilize them in ways to create the life we want. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we've been taught things that are supposed to kind of in a way control us and make us kind of easier to manipulate. Absolutely. But I think there's so much power in verses like faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Like, I wish that as a child, when I heard those things, that it wasn't just about, oh, believing for a better tomorrow. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, that's about curating and creating the exact life you want, even if you don't know exactly what path to take, but just trusting in a higher power and in yourself that this is true for you. Absolutely. And feeling that and sitting in that and learning visualization techniques so that you can start feeling and seeing the life that you want and the outcome that you want. It's just like I had it all along, but I just didn't know that's what it was for.
Exactly. No, the biggest lie is that we are not multi-dimensional beings. We are multi-dimensional. So in the dimension, there is the existence of your dream.
Yeah.
We didn't invent electricity. We discovered it, which means it was already in existence.
There.
The light bulb, the light simply needs all the elements to capture the essence of the light. And that's what we're doing when we're manifesting and downloading our dreams. So we take it from this nebulous, formless, then we take it and write it. That's one of the steps of putting it into physical reality, actually scripting it, writing it down, which is another powerful technique that I use and I support my clients with. And then it's speaking it, you know, through the word, speaking, giving life and breath, the spirit of the spirit, inspiration. So there's so many levels that we are playing this game called life. We're not just physical beings walking through. We are actually multidimensional, powerful beings of light here to distribute our gifts and talents and capacities in a way that only we can.
Exactly. And then employing your emotions, which is energy in motion. Like, think of, like, feel it, see it, smell it, taste it.
All of it, yes.
Yeah, like it needs to become like, it needs to be like, you need to step into that reality in one dimension before you can actually step into it in the dimension that you're in the physical. And that is manifesting. Like, it's not, we're not wishing upon a star. We're not just like hoping and praying. It's like, no. How do I take and help my body understand that this is the truth?
Yes. Which is why there's a song by Toni Jones, or a line in one of her songs that says, reality is sort of real. And I always tell people, use delusion to create an inspired life by accepting the fact that whatever I say really is what it is. It is what it is, because everything that I can imagine, anything that I can say I want, it was delusional for people to say that regular folks can decide they're going to go to the moon. And then there was someone, whether you like Elon Musk or not, however you feel about him, that's irrelevant. What we're talking about is the manifestation of what he decided. He said, no, I want, as a regular person, not being an astronaut, I want to be able to go to the moon too. So I'm going to create something so that I can go too.
I've decided.
I have decided. I have made a decision. I tell people all the time, the most powerful thing you can ever do in your life is to make a decision. Simply make a decision. People always ask me, how do you go through so much and you still fine? Because I have made a decision that no matter what happens, I'm going to create what I see. I'm going to be psycho about it. Excuse me, I know that's not a politically correct term. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to be psycho about my relentless pursuit of what I envision, because it's really, really hard. I think it was Will Smith who said this. It's really, really hard to win against someone who refuses to give up. How will you win if the person just won't freaking quit? Just keep going and keep going and keep going, because it has to be that the vision that you feel and know in your soul, in your mind's eye, that insight to know that, no, this is not only possible, it's literally so close. Like, even in our events, we make sure we tap into 6 senses. So it's sight, it's smell, it's taste, it's touch, it's also feeling too for us. Like it's not just the traditional 5 senses, it's also that kinetic piece where we're tapping into that energetic energy as well. So what I always want to make sure that we do whenever we're having like these types of conversations is we give folks the tools to go into the future, design and see what that looks like, feel it, taste it, touch it, smell it, and then come back to where you are and be super empowered because you have seen what the future looks like, not can look like, but what it looks like. And now all you have to do is walk in it.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I think when you do that often, it starts to give you clarity where the path gets more clear, and you can see where to exit. Like you can see like, okay, if I exit 6, like that's going to get me there faster. If I exit 8, it might take a little longer, but I'll still get there. Like you can start to make more informed and intentional decisions. And while we're talking about the future, a lot of times we want to neglect and not deal with the past. And we feel like the past is a place that we just don't want to return. But for some reason, the past has been coming up for me a lot. For me, I feel like it's when I'm pregnant. I think a lot about, like, I was having a conversation with my mom yesterday about like her mom. Like for some reason, I just got really curious, and I was like, I never met my grandmother. She actually died on my first birthday, and and my grandmother birthed 13 children, and this is like in Jamaica in like between the 40s and the 60s, right? So this is like she birthed 13 children, no epidural, no C-sections, like home, but like there's a midwife for like the town. So anyways, I'm talking to my mom about it, and lately Alicia and I have been having a lot of conversations around regret. Like there's this idea that we shouldn't have any, and it's like, that's not realistic in the sense that if you are making decisions and trying to live a full life, you're going to make mistakes. And it's okay to wish you hadn't made that mistake, even if it helps you evolve, even if it helps you grow. Like this idea where it's like, no regrets, everything was whatever. It's just like, I feel like it puts you into a space of delusion that's unhealthy, where you're supposed to feel like everything was just so good. And then it's like, you're not honoring some of the pain and some things that really help mold you. So I know it's common to just be like, oh, like if I could do it all over again, I would just do it the exact same. Where it's just like, well, with the information you have now, would you do it the exact same? Like, would there be pitfalls that you may have want to avoid, or would you have chosen a different way to experience that pain? So I want to ask you, if you could do it all over again from beginning to end, is there anything, and if there is, what would you do differently?
Profound question, and love what you said. And I think I like to operate in a space of yes and, which is inclusive, meaning that both of those can be true, and they are in my life. There are, I think if there wasn't a regret for me, I lived so much of my life on a deferred happiness plan. I spent almost a decade when I was back at my childhood home on my twin bed, trying to be an actress, trying to audition. Family members and friends were excelling in their careers. They were getting promotions, getting married. And here I was with my headshot going to auditions, hoping somebody would cast me. And so much of my self-worth and value was tied into that. So if I could do it anything again, it would be to stand and know that I am enough exactly as who and what I am. And it has nothing to do what roles I'm cast in. And so I got so good once I did start working at playing all these other characters and all these other roles. But the one role I hadn't mastered was the role of being myself. So that is what I would love to honor and love on that younger Caryn.
Yeah.
To your point, I wouldn't change that, because that Caryn got me to this one, and this one is going to get me to the next one, and it's all good. I label it all good. So yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
Yeah, it's just like, it's okay to be like, oh, I could have done that differently, but it happened, and this is just what it is. It's like understanding that not dwelling and sitting in the regret and
Yeah.
making the regret make you feel like a failure. But I do think that there is power in acknowledging another path that could have happened,
Mhm.
honoring that path, but
Mhm.
also respecting the path that actually diverged for you and
Exactly.
unfolded, so that you can then travel it with a little bit more grace and being like, okay, I may do this, I may regret it, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Yeah, and you know, it's like anything. You go back, you assess, and you see what worked, what didn't.
Yeah,
You can't heal what you won't reveal. So you got to look at the missteps, the mistakes,
exactly.
the times that you fell down. And in fact, most of my growth, and I submit maybe for all of us, has come not when things were, you know, sunshine and butterflies, but when I was in the muck and the mire, when I had fallen down, when I was hurt, when I was crying, praying to the Lord to please just take this gift, this desire from me, because I couldn't figure out how to make my life work. I couldn't figure out how to be the actress, the performer, the writer, the producer that I knew was inside of me. And I prayed for it to go away. Thank God it didn't, because that wasn't the lesson. The lesson wasn't for it to get easier. The lesson was for me to get stronger and to stand in my truth. So I think
Exactly.
that's how we can frame up our past mistakes or past pain and let it be the fuel that we stand upon, not stand in. So
Whew, listen, I'm over here getting chills, especially because so much of our stories are alike.
mhm.
It's wild that you literally said, so as we were talking, I pulled up that talk I was talking about, you know, using delusion to, you know, create this really amazing life. And you were saying lines from my
Wow.
actual speech. And I was
Wow.
like, this is getting a
Wow.
little crazy for me, especially with the yes and, because
Mm,
there's
mhm.
there's literally a part in this speech where I talk about we're now going to start yes anding our
Love
lives.
that. You know,
What do
that's
you
acting. That's an acting. That comes from my acting background, from doing improv.
I was gonna say I also learned that in improv
And
class.
so, yeah, and it's a great way to look at life. You may not agree with everything, but there might be 10% of value of what someone's saying. Even in an argument with my husband, I may not agree, but yes, and what if there was some element of truth that I could use to fortify myself, to change my perspective and enhance and deepen myself? So
Yeah.
I love that we're on the same wavelength with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
Wow.
you definitely have to take a chew the meat, spit out the bones approach to life,
Yes.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, because the more you do that is the more value, you know, the same idea of even a stop clock is right twice a day.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
you're not writing everything off because it doesn't suit your confirmation biases or
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't reaffirm the stories that you tell yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I saw this thing on Instagram a few years ago where someone was talking about how to um, kind of it's very difficult, but how to manage and overcome confirmation bias because we literally will seek out information that validates what we believe.
Yeah.
You'll Google it and you'll feel like you're being so objective, but you're really just trying to find ways to make you feel right. And it's
Right.
very, very difficult for the brain to like be like, "Ooh, that's not true." That's like we just it's so much easier to just believe what we want to believe. And one of the things it was like, you know, follow people who have very different opinions from you,
Mhm.
have conversations with people who just are not like they are not on your wavelength. They
Mhm.
believe something different because it helps your mind to get flexible. And I think in any journey, especially when you're pursuing a dream that is not as common, it's not the go to college, get a
Mhm.
degree, get a 9 to 5 clear path that so many of us are conditioned to have. You
Yes.
do have to have flexibility in your mind and you do have to be open minded so that you can kind of
Mhm.
adjust and pivot because there's a lot of that in dream chasing. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
You got to pivot like you break dancing all the time. Like you
Yeah.
are going to have to shift and adjust
Mhm.
fast
Yeah.
sometimes, you
Yeah.
know? And I feel like that's what that flexibility, like even in your own physical body, they say as you age, you need to really focus on flexibility
Yes.
because that's what's going to help your muscles be more resilient. It's going to
Yes.
help your bones be ready to kind of take on any impact that may happen as you age. So flexibility, I feel like, is such a big part of going after the things that you want so that you can continue to stay the course because you have the muscles and the flexibility to do that. It's if you're rigid, it's going to be really hard to stay the course.
It really, really, really is. That rigidity can truly kind of make or break your ability to stay in the game.
Yeah.
being flexible is a requirement. Like you will have to figure out, and I tell people, if you are going to travel a road that is different or is not the norm, figure out early what brings you joy, multiple things, because sometimes the one that brought you joy 2 months ago won't work now. So figure out multiple ways in which you can tap into elements of joy, because you're going to need to do so, because there are a few more hiccups. You do have to be strengthened in different ways, because, and there was an interview that someone did where it was saying that for ballet dancers, they need the calluses on their palm, or not the palm, what is that thing called on your foot?
The
The,
ball of the foot.
on the ball, yes, the ball. That's, see, on the balls of your foot. They need those calluses on the balls of their foot, because if you were to remove them, even though, yes, it'll be softer, it'll look nicer, it'll be prettier, but if you remove them, you'll actually be putting them in more harm, because they have to have those calluses for the type of life that they lead. So if you are traveling a road that is not one that is the traditional type of journey, then you will need some of those calluses, or some of those, strengthening experiences, which is what I'm now calling this part of my life, strengthening experiences, because you need that to be able to withstand what comes. You don't think when they're on the stage, and y'all, I love ballet, like ballet, theater, opera. I find great joy. It's so beautiful to me. You don't see when they're on the stage, although it is a beautiful manifestation of the work that they've put in. You don't see, how calloused their feet are, or how sometimes bruised their toes are to be able to perform in that way. You just see the manifestation of it. So becoming okay with, hey, this for my particular journey is what the requirement is, because the manifestation of what it will be later will help to, I know when I look at ballet, it makes me feel like I'm alive. So it'll help to help others to feel as though they're alive. It will help others to connect in ways that they never thought they could connect. The pruning and the strengthening that's happening in you, and so that you can produce the purpose for which you were created and born for. And becoming okay with that is such a thing. And
Yeah.
now we have had you for so long in this good conversation. I'm enjoying every part of it, but I want to know from you, because we've been so deep. We've been all the way. We've been in the deep end, y'all, like 10 feet plus.
Let's come to shore.
We're going to come to shore. We're going to refill ourselves by coming to shore. But what would you say is one thing that absolutely surprises people about you?
Most people know me as an actress, producer, with over 25 years in the entertainment business, mom, wife. But what they don't know is that I spent a lot of years doubting myself, really insecure, not trusting my dream and my vision, wondering, like, can I really do this? Because I have this big dream. A lot of times we have a dream and then we wonder, like, can I hold the capacity of this dream? And then, I realized when I walked into the bank at 18, I had been working as a child actor, right? Making all this money, living my dream. I got in a car accident, wrecked my brother's car. But I'm like, okay, I'm 18. I can be responsible. I'm going to go in. I'm going to take the money that I earned being a child actor. So I walk into the bank. I want to take the money out, not tell my mom that I wrecked my brother's car. And the bank teller says, your account balance is $1.87. And my heart sank. The blood drained from my body. All these years of living my dream, following my passion, thousands upon tens of thousands of dollars that I had amassed at that time was now distilled to $1.87. Now, it turns out that a family accountant, a friend of the family accountant, had mismanaged the funds. But I felt so out of control and felt like I had no control over my life, no control over my finances. And that's why now I am so passionate, in addition to acting and writing and producing, really helping people have financial health, healthy financial self-esteem and financial literacy as it pertains to following your creative dreams. Because people usually live their life in two buckets. They're either following their dream and passion, but they're broke, so they're starving artists,
Yeah.
or they've abandoned their dream and passion for financial security, but they're a starving soul. So you have the starving artist and the starving soul. And my mission, part of what lights me up, is really bridging that and showing people that there is a way to live your purpose and your passion and support yourself financially, because it's really hard to shine your light in the world when you can't keep your lights on. So I think many don't know that part about me. They don't know a lot of the financial heartache and trauma that I've gone through, just trying to fulfill my dream as an actress. And I'm really passionate about helping other creative entrepreneurs have their financial wealth and legacy. And I do that through my creative wealth blueprint. So, yes.
Yeah, that was good. Like,
yes, that's something we need to know more about. You need to know about that about you, because that is there's definitely a belief that, like, you know, when you're creative, the business side is going to suffer, the financial side is going to suffer, because you're just always in your right side, like, okay, let me just create and let me be loopy and let me, you know, be all these things. But there's definitely, I feel like I've seen in a creative space, being a creative, there has been an evolution of the creative, where we are now being more forced to in order to have the ownership and the control of our creativity that we need, we must understand the business. We must understand finances. That's the only way that we can, I feel like, keep the craft, whatever craft it is that you have, pure and untainted. It's all the years of these other people who are not creatives and who only care about numbers, controlling the creative narrative and controlling what's produced. I feel like that's over. Like, we're now like, okay, well, we clearly need to figure it out, because the damage that's been done to arts and the creative based on that structure and that capitalist type of mentality has I mean, it's just it's tainted art in so many ways.
Estimated, right?
Yeah, so many different forms of art too. So, you know, I love that that's something that you're passionate about. And I think more and more people are becoming passionate about, because, like, you cannot sell out, and you cannot outsource those things to people who are not tapped into the creative. That's a very different space to operate in. And if they're not operating in that space, they are going to abuse and misuse it. So
absolutely. And you know, to your point, we are in a creator economy now.
Yeah.
And creator economy is a term that's used to describe an economic system where content creators can now create revenue and income off of their creations. And so you know, whether you identify as self-employed or freelance, if you're a speaker or coach or any person that has to eat what they catch, then this is now, we are riding the wave of where we can really take our gifts, talents, and capacities and share them, package them, and monetize on them. No longer do we have to outsource and defer to other people to tell us who we are. We get to declare who we are, greenlight your own life, put forth your gifts and talents, and then receive healthy compensation for that. That's honoring for all of us as a whole. So I'm really excited about that. Like, that's the time that we're in. Now is the moment.
Yes, it's the green light your life for me. Listen, where can we go to stay connected, to find out not only how we can become the main character in our own stories, but also too how we can build creative wealth, as you were describing? Where can we go? How can we stay connected? All the things.
Love that. So I love Instagram. That is my platform du jour. So Caryn Ward Ross, as you know, spelled differently, not that Karen with the C. Caryn, and also Main Character Energy University. So that's basically a whole campus of wisdom, tools, practical tools, information, and the Creative Wealth Blueprint, which I'll be launching soon. I've been working with it on a pilot program with a couple of clients that I work with. So now I'm excited to bring it out to the world. So Main Character Energy University on Instagram is where I'll be talking about that Creative Wealth Blueprint. So some good stuff coming.
Yes, excited. You can stay connected with me at the Danny Bordeaux. Bordeaux is BOURDEAU. You can stay connected with us on Instagram at TriggeredAFPC. You can stay connected with us at triggeredaf.com. You can really stay connected with us. TriggeredAFpodcast.com. I knew that. TrinidadePodcast.com, and you can really stay connected with us and keep up with us and see when we are coming to another city near you with Caryn in tow.
Yes.
Because
some good stuff happening.
This collaboration has to be ongoing because of the impact that was made when our forces joined. So you can go to triggeredafevents.com just so that you can be the first and be in the know of when we have all the special things. We have something super amazing brewing. We want to make sure that you are a part of it and that you are aware of what's happening. So definitely tap in there so that you can stay in the loop.
Yes.
I adore you, ladies. This was so much fun. What they don't know is before we even did this, we talked for about 40 minutes. I mean, the three of us together, we from motherhood, life, all of it. Yeah.
All the things. It is how I discovered how similar Caryn and I's background is.
That's another podcast. You know that. Well,
yes.
We have to bring forth another beautiful soul. So yes, that's
yes. Make sure you stay connected with me at Alicia Reese everywhere, all over. ALECHIA. Y'all know my parents got excited, so it's spelled very differently.
Yeah.
We will absolutely be continuing these types of conversations on and offline because it is so necessary. I gained so much from this, just from being a part of the conversation. So I know you guys are going to take all the gems. Make sure, share with a girlfriend, share with your homeboys. People need to know how to manage the pressure and the weight and the joy that comes with taking the road less traveled.
Yes.
Until next time, see you soon. Bye, happy family.